In 1992, X-Men the Animated Series premiered on United States television based on the Marvel Comics of the Uncanny X-Men. The first episode arc of the series was Night of the Sentinels Parts 1 and 2. The X-Men depicted in these two episodes are Cyclops, Wolverine, Storm, Phoenix, or, known infamously in the series only as Jean Grey, the Beast, Gambit, Jubilee, but more importantly for this discussion is Morph. The character of Morph was specifically created for the animated series as a customized and completely new character. Morph's powers were that he could shapeshift to anyone that he desired, which was exactly the same as Mystique's shapeshifting power, but Morph as a character was actually based off the little-known character of Changeling in the comics. But Morph was considered an abbreviation of morphing, similar to Changeling from the comics in terms of a superhero alias. It's been said that the reason why Morph died in the so-called first mission that the X-Men had in this series is that it was similar to the giant-sized X-Men issue 1, July 1975, where the reformed X-Men head out on a mission, but Thunderbird, an indigenous Native American, is killed in the mission. Originally, there were plans to adapt Thunderbird for the animated series and have him killed off in Night of the Sentinels, but it was later thought of that the only Native American mutant depicted in the entire animated series would just be killed off in that way that was depicted in the comics and later in the cartoon would be viewed as distasteful or politically incorrect despite it being a good story. The character of Thunderbird was instead completely removed and a disposable character of Morph was inserted instead. Sentinels can fire energy from ports within their robotic palms. It's more than enough to kill a man, as it has been depicted many times in the X-Men comics, and as it's seen in the animated series with Morph's death. Morph had an interesting relationship with the other X-Men, most notably Cyclops and Wolverine. Originally, Morph had a great amount of respect for Cyclops and clearly respected him for being the leader of the team, but it was Cyclops whom had decided to abandon him and Beast to escape. This hatred for him being killed was one of the reasons why his personality shifted and was that of the person you love to be around with, and at the same time his near-death experience became traumatic and evil that had emerged from the experience. Wolverine was actually considered to be Morph's closest friend, and Morph mentioned the same thing as well, as Wolverine handled Morph's death the hardest of the entire team, and it was actually mentioned in multiple episodes afterwards to have the entire experience of the mission hurting him emotionally, psychologically, for essentially the entire first season of the series. Due to the graphic nature of the first episode arc with how Morph died and his relations to his teammates, viewers of the series grew to understand and enjoy the character very much, that eventually screenwriters of the series decided to revive Morph and have him being a pawn of Mr. Sinister, and as mentioned, having a deep hatred towards Cyclops for his death, but eventually overcomes it with help from Wolverine, Professor Xavier, and the other X-Men. But since Morph was a disposable character not really supposed to be in the series, he only appeared in a few episodes, being Night of the Sentinels Parts 1 and 2, Till Death Do Us Part Parts 1 and 2, Reunion Parts 1 and 2, Courage, and Graduation Day. But as the series progressed, interest in Morph declined, with screenwriters bringing in more established characters from the comics and progressing with other storylines for the cartoon series. Sometimes a character can be forgotten because even though they were disposable, they became respected among viewers.